A 2013 United Nations report found that 1 in 9 Africans with a tertiary education were living and working outside of their countries, many choosing to travel and work in developed nations in North America and in Europe. But as numbers of African migrants to the global north continue to grow, we also see a reverse of that, where young Africans are moving back to the continent, attracted by the various opportunities of a continent that many see as being on the rise. And some of the factors that explain this increase of young people returning to the continent is that many countries around the continent are becoming politically stable. Societies are also enjoying a better standard of living. But most importantly, there is a greater access to technology, a factor that is behind the thousands of young people educated in the West moving back to Africa to look for opportunities in areas like technology, in art, in healthcare, and many others. This concept, also known as brain gain, explains statistics from a report written by Jacana Partners. Jacana is a Pan-African private equity firm that invests in small businesses to support sustainable economic development in sub-Saharan Africa. Their report says that over 70% of African MBA students at the top 10 US and European schools planned to return home and work after their graduation. And one of those people is Nigerian technologist and entrepreneur Ade Olufeko. He's part of that statistic, returning home to Lagos, Nigeria after years of studying and working here in the United States. Ade talks to us about his journey back to Nigeria, some of the opportunities on the continent, and most importantly, why Africa is the next tech frontier.
It's an interesting journey transition. You know, when you first come out to the States here or wherever in the diaspora, there's a culture shock. So I'm going through that reculture shock into Nigeria, Lagos, and I've been there for like maybe 2-3 years now. And it's been interesting.
Yeah.
I'm still doing technology, and I'm still an advocate of the creative arts. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
And for those who don't know what you do, talk to us a little bit about the work that you do, the intersection between technology and the arts.
Okay, so I started my career during the .com, you know, the time of the Mark Cubans and all that. I've been through the whole ecosystem of technology, from programming to project management, and now I'm sort of an ecosystem architect in Nigeria and West Africa. And let's say they want to pass a law, a policy, or regulators, they have a certain technologists who have international experience. So people reach out to me and say, Ade, I'll say it in pidgin, we won't pass this law. Should this thing go day okay for everybody?
Just make sure everything is okay.
Yes,
with
make
this,
sure everything is okay for the common man. And then they get their sign off.
You come in, you write,
absolutely,
consult.
Absolutely.
So you're basically a consultant.
A consultant for mostly the private sector, but also the public sector as well.
Art-wise, what are you doing?
So I had a platform here in the U.S. You can liken it to a South by Southwest. I did that for like 10, 12 years here. Successful, did a few shows. I think you're in some of the footages that we have.
I need to see the footage. I need to sign up on that.
I know. We need to get it out. Yeah. So now I'm replicating the same platform in Nigeria. In Africa, or just Africa generally, we import lots of foreign brands, whether it's TED, nothing wrong with that, or KFCs or whatever, but we don't really have our own. So right now, I'm looking at building a platform iteratively, so it can shed light to Africans on the continent.
So as a person who's in the tech space, what are some of the things that are exciting for a person who would be interested as an investor or somebody graduating from an Ivy League school or a university in the US and says, I'm looking to Africa to come, to build, to invest, to work? What are some of the things, pitch to them why Africa is the next frontier right now?
It is the next frontier. We have the population. If you look at South Africa or Kenya or even Rwanda, what Rwanda is doing, they have North Africa's. We have the human capital out there, which is, you can make mistakes. You can go in there and make mistakes. You have mobile money. The ecosystem is ripe to plant whatever you want to do. You can make mistakes. We have this African thing that nobody wants to share their ideas. I think you should share your ideas and fail very fast. There's going to be room for first movers advantage. Just innovate. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, just take it to Africa. Trust me, we need it.
Right. So lots of innovations happening around the continent. I was in Casablanca last month at Demo Africa. Met a lot of young tech entrepreneurs, innovators with these different startups. What are some of the startups or ideas that have come from the continent in the last 2 years that you've been there that have captured your attention?
I'll say hubs. You have the hubs. The hubs are like, you have the Pan-African system, the universities, and you have hubs sprouting out from students from those places. So you can have someone speaking Swahili or speaking whatever, and those hubs are now talking to each other. So they're moving much quicker than the AUs.
Communicating and collaborating.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Just
absolutely.
Above the usual administrative bureaucracy.
Absolutely. They're moving much quicker than the AU or anybody. So you have the hubs, then you have, you know, there's something called Yabacon. It's a replicate of Silicon Valley, where Andela is. Then you have Co-Creation Hub in Abuja. And there are many I don't even know about. But the funny thing is that they all talk with each other.
Right.
So if there's a solution somewhere, an African issue, third world, let's just call it what it is, it could be replicated from the east to the west. From Lagos to Nairobi, where there's they call the Silicon Savannah. Absolutely. Right? Yes.
So Andela, you know, made a big, they were able to get a lot of money from Facebook, you know, Google put in a lot of money too. What does that mean for these young innovators?
It has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. Advantages is obviously it's creating opportunities to develop local talent as opposed to importing or going to the Far East, to India or Russia to build things. You now have young individuals who are African-centric, and have the mindset to build something where they understand the pain points of it. The disadvantages, which are not being discussed, and I don't really get so much into it, so I'm not political, I'm still a businessman, is who owns those creations by the youth? Does it still belong to the West?
So basically, is it possible that they're not seeing the fine print of some of the
if somebody is hungry and somebody investor comes and says, "Pow, do this," you'll be excited. But the overall picture of who owns the idea, who owns it.
Is that part of your job right now, to come in and advise some of these innovators on to look at the fine print?
Well, I feel yes. If some of these principles are open to people like me coming into Nigeria, I'm an innovator, but I'm usually coming to aid what's already been started. So it would be for people's best interest to hire me as a consultant or leverage my international expertise. And I can say, you know what, this is the long-term roadmap. If you do this, this, and this, in 4 years, this is what's going to happen.
Let's talk about brain gain. Young people like yourself moving back to the continent, educated, have knowledge here from the West. Essentially, what is being called the brain gain, African brain gain. But some of them say that when they get back, they have issues. Let's talk about you specifically. What are some of the things that caught you off guard for you to be able to acclimate to this, reacclimate, I guess, to the new environment?
There's a cultural barrier to entry, no doubt. You have economical barriers to entry. Africa is emerging and frontier markets. So you can have all the most brilliant ideas out there, but you can't just jump with a Western construct and throw it at an African issue. People will resist you. Africa will humble you. It will bring you to your knees when you see that, okay, there's a different kind of people in the South, there's a different kind of people in the East, and you have Namibia. You know, there are land issues, land grabs. There are just some things that...
There's a diversity that you don't find out here in the West.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of the new technologies the emerging technologies, emerging with the emerging economies. As a person who works on policy sometimes, what are some of the ethical considerations that you make or governments make to accommodate these new technologies as they work to solve some of the local challenges on the continent?
I would say e-learning, creating policies to catalyze and foster, e-learning solutions from the local government, translation of languages. I would say that e-learning is the biggest one. Without learning the concepts of what's coming into the community, there's no way you can really leverage it. And then when there's a national budget thrown at, something, somebody ends up stealing the money because those policies are not enforced.
Let's talk about your art.
Sure.
You have a project coming up.
That's true.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, man, you've done your research. So I have I have a exhibition coming up for 2019 and 2020 on the continent in Africa, and the title of the exhibition is called Remember to Rise, Black's Dream, but mostly Remember to Rise, and it's a call to the youth to do more work as opposed to talking and rioting and making noise, like do the work. It's a derivative artwork from a previous work, which they're all going to be in the same exhibition. It got endorsements from Seun Kuti, Amy Jadisimi, Oswald Boateng, so many different artists, so many different professionals. And what the work is that each person's signature or inscription on the art piece is a representation of their industry. So it calls light to if it's fashion or if it's imports and exports or tourism. Most of those industries are not touched on. In Africa, it's usually oil and gas, diamond, gold.
Extractive industries.
Yes, but there's so many hidden industries where there's money. There's money laying on the ground. So my kind of artwork is more of digital painting mixed with mixed media painting. So it takes a long process, and then it's mixed with data sciences. So it's not just like you go to a regular exhibition and you just see artwork, say, oh, it's cool. And the next person says, what is that? It actually has data of projections, which also are in alignment with the AU, if not surpasses the AU.
Do you get to interact with it? Is there an interactive component to the art?
I can't really give most of the trade secrets out, but for the most part, an economist can go there and say that, you know what, wow, we actually have data now. We have data. Workable data where you can make projections. You can make futuristic projections, not like a soothsayer or like you're going to a shaman. You actually see things that are going to happen. Like, for instance, like the Libya corridor, when this thing happened, some of the previous artwork said, if these policies were not in place, there's going to be an exodus of people leaving, and this is going to happen. If you have art, if it's poetry, if it's visual art or any music, you have a responsibility. You can do it mindfully, but to tell the truth. That's the best we have. We have Nollywood, we have Tribe TV in South Africa. There's so many places out there that are platforms. It can't just be about, hoop-de-doo. It has to be also social consciousness music. That's where me and Seun Kuti developed a friendship, just to talk about everybody has a right to serve in Africa.
Seun Kuti, the son of the legendary Fela Kuti.
Absolutely, the same one, yes.
He's also legendary in his own right.
Yes.
I think he's took over Egypt, the Fela's
band,
right?
Yeah, he did.
Awesome. Yeah. I know the brother quite well.
Femi. Oh,
I've interviewed him
okay.
a couple of times.
Nice.
But it's so nice to have you in the studio.
Hey, man.
Good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me here.
If you were to look at our camera and try to sell the continent as the future, why is Africa the future? Because everybody keeps saying that the next frontier in technology is on the continent. Why?
I would say that the population numbers, right now we're in the second scramble for Africa. I mean, it's evident. You look at China, which are friends of Africa, creating schools, putting their languages inside there, investing because of the returns they're going to get on the mineral returns. You have the U.S., you have so many people going into Africa. Now, if you're a first, second, third generation African and you're not investing in Africa, whether it be self-service, money is there, you would wait 10 years and realize that you see a Chinese flag or somewhere, and you'll be like, wow, what happened?
So wake up, or else you're missing out on the opportunities.
You got to wake up right now and go back to it. Now is the second scramble. Ethiopia, all these places are blooming. The railroads connecting all the countries. ECOWAS, you can take one African passport and travel to like a gazillion African countries. Go to Rwanda. There are many beautiful things. Now is the time, not tomorrow. Get uncomfortable so you can get comfortable. So Africa is where it is.
I like that. Yes. I like that. And with that, we come to the end of our conversation. Ade Olufeko, if people want to follow you, where can they find you?
You can either go to my website, olufeko.com, or I'm on Instagram, Adefeks. That's ADEFEKS. And you just see what I have planned for the upcoming year and the exhibition.
I can't wait.
Yes,
Ade, good to see you, my man.
Yeah, no doubt.